Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler is finally in the horizon, as it was announced literally after UFC 303, and thank God. I thought we would never see the day when this fight was announced. Chandler was waiting almost about 2 years for this fight, which is insane, but it looks like he's finally getting red panty night, which is awesome. And I think a reason why this fight took so long to be announced is that Dana is having some sort of negotiation beef with Conor. Dana has always started talking shit indirectly when the fighters don't do what he wants. Remember when it was Jones who wanted a better deal? Dana was like, "We know what show me the money means. He's scared of Francis." When Francis had issues with Dana, Dana would say, "Francis is an egomaniac." The UFC was probably trying to lock up Conor to a new contract since his contract is almost done, and they don't want Conor to fight anywhere else besides the UFC, and maybe the fight took even longer because of that Roadhouse movie. But regardless, it looks like Conor and Dana have finally struck a deal. But the biggest concern I have is Conor gonna be the same? Look, I understand he broke his leg, but even before then, everyone has noticed that he hasn't looked the same in years. His shots aren't landing as much, he's not as fast or as sharp with his timing regardless of his stance, and he's not able to avoid strikes as well. Not to mention that he's 35 years old and has only won one fight in 6 years. Along with that, he's physically aged 10 years in the last 2 years from all that partying he does. And he went from dominating to getting finished 3 out of his 4 last fights. And someone like Chandler who stays in the gym all year, and we've seen that Chandler has an iron will to go to war, and I don't know if the same thing could be said about Conor. I mean, we've seen time after time with Conor McGregor, once he gets hurt, he's never really able to mentally go back through the fight. He's never able to weather the storm like some of these fighters can. You can't hit your prime twice, and Conor isn't active enough in competition. Look, the point I'm trying to make is that it's not the fact that he isn't winning anymore, it's a matter of his career and skill set that has stagnated. He hasn't been active in the slightest, and between boxing Floyd, which screwed up his karate stance by the way, making him into a heavy, plotty, boxing style fighter, and the long layoffs with no progression or evolution to his skill set, Dustin and Khabib wrote the blueprint on how to beat Conor. He's helpless on smothering pressure, and he has a hard time checking calf kicks. Once Conor loses his mobility and his elusiveness, all he has is punching power, and his chin isn't good enough to survive when he's facing the elites. And that's why this fight is pretty much a pick'em. If you look at the betting odds, McGregor is a minus 113 and Chandler is a minus 102, and I personally think that's what kind of makes this matchup between Conor and Chandler so interesting, because even with all that being said, Conor can still beat Chandler. Chandler is a damn talented guy at so many things, but has terrible fight IQ. He's gonna try to stand and bang with Conor to prove a point, and I could see Chandler potentially getting knocked out. Now, obviously, Chandler could always wrestle. He did fight Dustin like that and was very successful until he gassed himself so bad that he got submitted. With all that being said, my pick for this fight is for Conor McGregor to TKO Michael Chandler in the first round. I think Chandler is just asking to be countered, as the dude relies more in his explosive attributes than setting up an attack. He'll just come in with fast, meaty hooks, and that's an easy counter for Conor, man. I think you could probably use that same technique that Conor used on Jose Aldo. Chandler doesn't throw anything else besides hooks and uppercuts. He doesn't really throw any straight shots. I think he's just gonna get countered for majority of the fight, but I do expect him to land here and there. But even with a washed up Conor McGregor, I still would pick him to beat Michael Chandler. It's just a perfect stylistic matchup for him. And Conor has fought a similar style before with Chad Mendes, who was arguably faster, not stronger obviously, but still had punching power. The dude even had the wrestling game in his arsenal. But I would argue that Chad Mendes was a better boxer than Chandler. And look, I'm aware that Chandler has the wrestling in his back pocket, but who even knows if he's going to use it? The dude is most likely going to try to stand and bang with Conor and get TKO'd. And even if Chandler does use it, I do believe Conor will get back on his feet and butcher him. Now, am I confident to say that Conor is going to win? Hell no. In fact, this fight can go either way, and if Conor loses, I think this is his last fight. I don't really see him fighting again, but I guess time will tell, am I right? That being said, if Conor wins, I actually see him calling out Max Holloway, which would be an awesome rematch to see, and if Chandler wins, he's probably going to make some insane promo, probably calling out Max as well. But those are my thoughts on this entire Conor versus Chandler fight that just got announced. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.